In this lecture, let's explore one more feature of C# called attributes. Attributes are an advanced feature in the language. We won't be covering the creation of attributes. It would take a while to discuss the concepts. However, we will learn how to use them. Unity offers various attributes to help us develop games. To begin this discussion, we need to understand the idea of compilation. For the sake of simplicity, I'll be simplifying the explanation of compilation. There's a lot that goes into compiling a program. So, what is compilation? In an earlier lecture, we discussed the idea of machine code. Naturally, computers can't understand C#. C# is considered to be a human-readable programming language. Programming languages were invented to make writing code easier. Regardless, our code needs to be transformed into machine code. The process of transforming our code from one language to another is called compilation. In some cases, some developers consider C# to be interpreted. Either way, our code is being transformed into machine code. After our code has been transformed, it can be executed. So, you may be wondering, why is this important to know? Attributes are designed to provide information to the compiler. They can do so much more. However, this is primarily what they're used for. Let's look at an example. Like I said before, we're not going to create attributes. That would take too much time. Luckily, C# and Unity provide dozens of attributes for handling the most common tasks. For example, let's say that only one robot can be sold at a time. In the script, we have a method for calculating the price with the quantity. It doesn't make sense to include the quantity in the price. One solution would be to update the method. However, there's one problem with this approach. What if we shipped our code to production before the new policy? It's not uncommon to update code after a game has been released. If we were to update a method, we could break our game. So, what is the solution? Rather than updating the current method, we can create a new method. Let's create a copy of the calculate price method. Rename it to apply discount. Remove the quantity parameter. Lastly, let's update the return value to not use the quantity parameter. So far, we have two methods for performing similar calculations. Other developers might be confused. Which method should they use? What if they use the wrong method? This scenario is where an attribute can save the day. There's an attribute called obsolete. This attribute allows us to mark a method as depreciated. Before using this attribute, we should reference the namespace for this attribute. At the top of the file, add a using statement. The name of the namespace is called system. The obsolete attribute is defined by the .NET platform. Attributes from this platform can be found under the system namespace. It's not specific to Unity. Head back to the calculate price method. Above this method, add a pair of square brackets. Inside these brackets, add an attribute called obsolete. Attributes can be applied to a method by adding a pair of square brackets. The name of attribute should be inserted in these brackets. In this case, we're applying the obsolete attribute to the calculate price method. The compiler will warn developers who attempt to use this method. If we were to scroll to the robot method, a yellow line would appear below the calculate price method. According to the error, our method is obsolete. This information is helpful, but it can be improved. It's considered good practice to provide an alternative solution. We should recommend developers to use the apply discount method. Back at the calculate price method, attributes can accept data like methods. This step is optional. If an attribute supports additional configuration, we can add a pair of parentheses after the attribute's name. For the obsolete method, we can pass in a string that'll act as a custom message. Let's write the following message. Calculate price is deprecated. Use apply discount instead. Next, let's check out the error again. This time, the message from the attribute appears from within the error. Adding this information helps developers migrate from the old method to the newer method. It can also prevent developers from accidentally using an older method. Overall, attributes can be helpful for communicating with the compiler. In turn, external programs can use this information to help us write programs. Throughout the course, we'll get plenty of opportunities to explore additional attributes. Before ending this lecture, I'm going to comment the entire class body. Do not add comments to the class itself. We're left with an empty class. This class may throw errors from the Unity editor. To prevent this issue from happening, we're disabling the code since we're finished with the robot class. In the next lecture, let's cover some final topics.